Are you looking for your next RV? Today on the RV Life podcast, I'm Hetty Hunt, your host. We're going to talk about choosing your next RV, as well as a lot of other things that we have to talk about today. The fun fact is going to be brought to you by Open Road Resorts with 5 amazing locations. They have 2 in Montana, 1 in Idaho, 1 in Texas, and their newest one is in Nebraska, and it is called West Omaha KOA. If you're on your way to Yellowstone, it's a great place to either stop over or stay for a while. This campground is highly amenitized. For the fun fact today, we are really here winging it a lot today. The fun fact is about expos and events. And what I'm going to say is pick your events, especially if you're choosing a new RV, an event like Hershey and Tampa. And this new event we're at today is Music City Motorhome Expo. The first time it's ever happened. We're going to talk about it with our guests. And it's a great way to look at different brands, different manufacturers, different floor plans, and really get a chance to talk to the manufacturers and find out exactly the right unit for you. A lot of times we talk about fresh water when we're camping, right? And I love to share with my listeners Clear 2O. Clear 2O, Barb and Keith are the owners. Keith has invented all of the filtration system. So whether it's an inline filter, a 3-stage filter, a pitcher that you just have, pour water in, put the pitcher in the refrigerator, their water system is above and beyond. They use a carbon block. And there's a great video I'll put in the show notes so you know the difference between the granular type filtration system and the carbon blocks. Carbon block gets it down to 1 micron. So I highly recommend the Clear 2O system. You can visit them at clear2o.com. Check the show notes for any discounts that they are currently offering. Okay, so I have my guests today, and as you could see, we are actually on video. And of course, one of the first videos I'm doing, it is 90 degrees out with 95% humidity, and well, you guys look good. Maybe hat is the answer.
We've been indoor all day.
Oh, that's how they've cheated. I am pretty soaking wet, but here we are with video because we really want to talk and show some of the things we're talking about. So we are at the Music City Motorhome Expo, like I said, first of the kind, put on by NIRVC. And I know you're customers of NIRVC.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So did you guys come here? And I'm sorry, Mark and Sue from Our Journey in Miles. Check out their YouTube channel. Amazing content. We're going to talk about some of that. So did you come here looking for a new RV? I'm going to go to Sue for this.
Okay.
I think we're going to get Sue in here.
Before Mark takes over.
I'll keep him.
Good idea. No, actually, so we have a 2014 Newmar, a Dutch Star. We love it. And with our YouTube channel, everybody knows we love our Dutch Star. And we were asked to come here because truly we talk a lot about the Newmar. We get a lot of emails and comments about, Mark, what do you think about this? I'm looking at these 2 different brands. What do you think of that? And he's a mechanical engineer. So he's majorly researched everything, and he has an answer for everything. So we came here, we were invited to come here to see a lot of subscribers, and a lot of subscribers said it was because of our announcement that we're going to be here. They were thinking like we might want to buy new, and when we talked about it, some of them said, we're here because you told us you're going to be here, and we thought this really is unusual. We need to be there too.
So while you weren't necessarily looking, you thought you got to be here. Now, like we said, we're at this expo, and they're all the brand new 2025s. Nobody's ever seen them before. There's many manufacturers. As we go along, we'll talk about them. You're partial to the Newmar. We are sitting in a 2025 Newmar Dutch Star as we speak, and we'll talk a little bit about this. We'll show you this new unit. The Dutch Star is that entry level unit for a lot of people.
It's a popular one, probably
It
their
is.
highest.
This is their
Yeah.
highest seller. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, it is. Now, you're a mechanical engineer.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit, because we got to keep it simple for people.
And don't get
About
too
what,
detailed.
yeah, let's not get too detailed about what it is you like about the Newmar brand. Let's just get into it.
When I started looking just like everybody else, you start on the internet. The internet has got tons of rabbit holes you can go down through, but one of the ones that is the most correct information and the biggest depository actually is part of the RV Life Pro program, and it's the social knowledge branch, the irv2.com, and just about any question you have, you can put in the search screen and you can put down best Class A motorhome. Okay, when you find that people are always talking about the same 3 brands, there'll be people talking about 50 brands, but the majority will be talking about only a few. The logical answer then is I should only be looking at these 3, and one of them is Newmar. So real quickly, based on floor plan, and I wanted to make sure that if I was buying used, I was buying the best and the most well-engineered production unit. I couldn't afford something that got to the next level where you tack another $500,000 onto it, and that's what brought me to Newmar.
Okay, so to your point, RV Life Pro is a suite of products. IRV2 is their forum, so you could get on and ask questions, and there's all kinds of people on there giving valuable information, and that's great. We all know in the world of doing research, you're going to find opinions and thoughts, and it's great to go onto IRV2 because you look over and over again and you see these are the top 3.
You don't search for the answer you want. You search for the answer that has a vast preponderance. And then whether or not you like that answer or not, that's just too bad. That
That's
really is
the
the
answer.
answer. So for instance, case in point, do I need for a full-timer?
We're
That's-
full-time.
that's-
7
Okay,
years
full time for
now.
how long? 7 years. Okay,
now.
good.
Yeah.
So for a
7
full-timer, that's gonna be carrying a lot of equipment, and you're gonna be carrying equipment that you don't even know you're gonna be carrying. You need a lot of carrying capacity. So for instance, if Patty was to look at the yellow sticker right by where she is, that is the as-built cargo carrying capacity for this rig. And no matter what in the catalogs, when you're shopping, you have to always keep in mind, and you learn things like this on IRV2, you have to always keep in mind that it doesn't really matter what the catalog says, because the catalog cargo carrying capacity can be as low as 56 to 60% of that number. And if that number you're looking at in the catalog is pretty small already, it's going to get real small in reality.
Right.
That sticker she was looking
Right.
at,
And-
that's the reality.
I wish I could say I could see it and read it, but to your point,
Yeah.
to be able to go on things like IRV2, a trusted forum, and find the answers you're looking for. Again, a lot of times you go research something and there's polar opposite.
Right.
Certainly within models. So
Right.
manufacturers here, there are at least 7 major manufacturers here. I'm going to try and go through all of them. Newmar being one of them, Tiffin, Integra, Winnebago, Red Group, which includes Fleetwood, American Coach, as well as others.
Holiday Rambler.
Holiday Rambler it includes, and then we have Coachman here, and we have a number of Class B bands here. So Gretsch is here, Panoramics here, Midwest, is that what it's called? And there are others that I am missing. I'll put them in the show notes.
57 North or something?
57, 27 North. I think it
27,
is.
One of them numbers.
Yes, I was saying 57, but yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of brands here for you to go in and really talk about what's important. And I'm going to go, again, there's no list of questions here. We're going to go all over the place.
Yeah.
Because now, what kind of chassis do you have on your Dutch Star?
Okay, so we have a Freightliner, and I think that was more by chance in the beginning, but the longer I got into it, the longer I was using it, the more I was on IRV2, the more I talked to people in the campgrounds. For me, that would have been my preference. Remember, I bought used, okay?
Right, yeah.
If I was buying new, now my preference would be Freightliner.
And that's what, and again, I'm going to go back, I'm going to embarrass myself right now. When I first started out, we bought a used Monaco Diplomat 40 foot. We found one we liked and it was the right floor plan. And I'm sure Dan checked on the engine and things like that. We hadn't inspected, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So here we were in it. We bought it. It was very inexpensive because honestly, Dan wasn't sure if I'd last a month, let alone the 3 years. And as you get in one, you learn. So the first time we're in Hershey, the great big Freightliner chassis is sitting there. And my thought was, it's just the metal frame. And I'm embarrassing myself because I want people to know this. So that's just the metal frame. So there was Dan in Tampa the following January, and he said, Jeff Sather, the president of Freightliner, is going to do an interview for the podcast. And I'm thinking, why? Who cares about the metal frame? What's the difference? This was the vision, the picture. So he did the podcast, and I listened to it, and I went, oh.
And did you hear what Brett said?
So much
that about 1/3 of the cost of your motorhome is the frame. I was dumbfounded when I heard that.
Because it's not just the frame; it is the whole RV, except for the house. We're sitting in the house right now. So the refrigerator, the air conditioners, things like that. But the chassis is everything. It's your tires, it's everything. And the best part, I think, with Freightliner is their 24/7, 365-day service. There are human beings picking up the phone. Dan and I lost the fuel pump. We were able to call Jeff directly. Now he's since retired. And you don't need the connection to Jeff. You call their customer service number and you're being led to where you need to go and how to get your RV fixed.
I just stumbled on this literally not even a month ago. If anybody wants to know the inside skinny a tour and what Freightliner is all about and how their parts distribution system is, Angie Morrell from National Indoor RV Center did an excellent video, and it was an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm sitting in my rig. I've been RVing for 7 years full time. I watched every minute of it. In fact, I probably watched more than the hour and 40 minutes because I watched sections over. It shows you everything. The factory, the testing, the engineering, the parts distribution to retrieve things when you're on the road that are broken. It's a fascinating look at the depth that company has your back when you're on the road.
Yes, and again, this is really important when choosing an RV. So we were at the factory in Gaffney, South Carolina. We did not get video of it, so I'll have to refer to Angie's video. The people. So you walk in and there's a security person there. I always felt like Jeff Sather had heart. He was a true, amazing person, a real human being. He didn't care that I didn't have an RV or what kind of. He just spoke to me like he would speak to somebody buying the $1 million plus new air, whatever it costs. Not the right price, but it didn't matter, and just a real person. And that trickled down to the people in the factory.
And that tour,
the people in the factory truly cared about
tour
what
is
they
for
were
free.
doing. It's free. You can make arrangements. It's every day at 10, somewhere around 9:45 and 10 o'clock.
We went to it 3 times already now.
Wow.
And one
He's a
time,
mechanical engineer.
And I got to tell you, the coolest part, Dan couldn't get over it. So these great big 40-foot, they come in and they start working on them while they're upside down. So Dan thought it was the greatest thing in the world to watch. Luckily, the line, they were ready to flip it over. He thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
We really lucked out because one of the times we went, they're apologizing. Oh, we're sorry. We had some kind of a snafu with our IT because of some power fluctuations, and we sent everybody home today, and we're going to pick up on the next shift. And so nobody's here, but we can still give you the tour. I'm telling you,
you couldn't
quiet.
hear.
We could walk and gather around areas that normally would be off limits. It was fantastic. So what did I do the next day? I came back when the people were working.
Yes, because the people are amazing, and they're generations, families that are there. So again, if nothing you get out of this podcast and video, it's to really pay attention to the chassis. We love Freightliner. We love customer service, the way they're built. They have over 1,000 employees. It just says a lot when you're comparing them to other chassis
We
manufacturers.
actually did a number of videos on our experience at Gaffney as a service customer. and it's a pretty first class operation. I took the Freightliner Class 1 and Class 2. It really brings you up to speed. The awesome thing about that is you can go as a team, so your travel partner can go to the classes with you, so that neither one of you can get bamboozled when you're
Right.
out on the road somewhere and you're not at a Freightliner place that you could trust, and you have an issue that needs to be looked at. When they start telling you need new blinker fluid, you can say, hey,
Blinker fluid.
I went to the Freightliner test.
And it's called Camp Freightliner, and you could go there and you could go for a couple of days. Now, I do have to tell you, there's a campground within 2 miles of there. It's Spacious Skies.
Yeah.
I'll have to put in the show notes the name of it. It's called Peach Haven. That's what it's called. That's where Dan and I stayed when we were at
Okay.
Freightliner when we visited, and they're fantastic. If you call Freightliner, they will recommend it, and I think there's a discount. She is working with them. So now we have the coach. We know what's most important, and that's the chassis. It is most important. People walk in. We just had somebody coming in here. This is, like I said, the 2025 brand new Dutch Star. And people walk in and they're looking at floor plan and, oh, the seats are nice, and look at the color in here. It's actually pretty. I like the light.
Right.
Anyway, that's just
Yeah, we like the-
we'll do a tour. The second thing, okay, let's look at floor plan. So let me ask you, we just all said we like the light coloring. What's important for you that you think it's the I didn't know kind of
Right.
thing? What's
Right.
some of the things you'd recommend?
When people ask us questions, it's like, what do you think? And it's, first of all, you got to figure out, what are you going to do? We're going to live full time. We need to be comfortable. If you're a whole month long, a weekend, whatever, you're going to have different priorities. So for us, it had to feel like a home. So we were looking at fifth wheels too and other Class A's and stuff. And we literally would go to shows and sit in the dining booth, conversations. People would come on in, just look, we're just hanging out here. We're pretending we're cooking. We're trying to get the feel. And after sitting a while, we'd say, so how'd it feel? And there are times that I'd feel like I'm camping. I feel like I'm campy, and we're not doing it because we wanted this to be a lifestyle, not a weekend thing. So once we got into the one that we're in,
Once we got into the 4369 Newmar,
it's so solid. It feels like a condo on wheels. It feels like a home. There's so many nights we'll be sitting here watching Netflix on our TV. All the shades are pulled in, and he'll say, "Did you know you're sitting in a parking lot of National Indoor with repairs out there?" No, it feels like home. You forget where you're at.
okay, so we're going to
And
very
reenact
much
that.
so.
I can tell you how many times we're sitting like
And I
this.
want to set people up because some of these people will be listening to this.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
everybody imagine we walked in the front door of a Class A, and you're going to have to go to video to, if you've never been in a Class A, we walk inside a Class A, and Sue and Mark are sitting on the driver's side in recliners, beautiful cushy recliners.
Very
And next to
nice.
that is the dinette, and on the side where the camera is, so behind the camera is the camera person, the kitchen is there. So I want to give people that look. And there is a television with a televator.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know, it goes up and down with the push of a button.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in the campground, you want to feel like you're home.
And it feels like home. For me, I wanted a real refrigerator. We're full time. We want to stock up. Washer and dryer. We had some friends that went full time. They bought a Dutch Star brand new, and they thought, no, we don't need a washer dryer. We'll just use a laundromat and stuff, and we'll have more storage space. Later on, they put in a washer and dryer. If you're going to go full time, don't rely on the laundromat where everybody's washing their dog blankets.
Right.
You know?
That's true. And I will tell you that I had a washer dryer all in one. But because it was original with the unit and it
Right.
hadn't really been used,
Yeah.
that was a concern to use. It wasn't like, yay, this is new. It was what's going to be dry rotted, right? And I
Yeah.
know that I'm not a
Right.
mechanical anything.
Yeah.
So I would take it to the laundromat. I just accepted that I could take 3 weeks worth of laundry at one time because it's not a matter of how often do I do laundry. It's a matter of how much clothes you have.
Yeah, how long can you stretch
How long
it?
could I
Yeah,
stretch it?
yeah.
And so it's interesting because I think now I would like that washer and dryer.
Yeah, that
you throw a
formula
load in
for
a
us
couple
didn't
days.
work because right from day one we had a washer and dryer, but there are times every once in a while where you might have to do a comforter or something
Something bigger.
that you don't
yeah.
want to tax your equipment. So you go, you know what? I'm going to take all my laundry along. We're going to do the comforter. It's got to be there anyways, and we'll just throw it in the other machines. Can't tell you how many times we go, all the machines are full, running, or worse yet, they're all full, with clothes in them that's wet.
Right.
Broken ones, yes.
Yeah, that happens so many times, and you go,
Right.
you know what? I have the yellow sticker capacity to carry a washer dryer.
Right.
I'm throwing it in.
And again, personal preference.
Well,
We're
that's
trying to
it.
bring out, we're not saying you absolutely should have a washer dryer or you shouldn't. We're trying to bring out things to think about.
That's a good idea too, is to make the list. What's your priority?
Yeah.
Because that's what we did too. Not everybody needs a washer dryer. Not
Right.
everybody needs a space, and not everybody uses it full time. So it's a personal thing.
Right.
So you got to analyze that. I do have to say one thing when we were looking and we went down to the three major ones. What narrowed us down to Newmar for him. Okay, we're not spring chickens. We just retired. We've got the same. You're not young, Mark. I'm
It
sorry.
just shocked him.
I shocked him. Yeah.
Mark is shaking his
Like,
head.
what?
He's shocked by that.
I forgot I'm going to be
Okay.
72 in 6 days.
In 6 days.
Oh, happy
exactly.
birthday.
Yeah. But he does a lot of reading. He kept talking about the fatigue of drive. When he was reading about that comfort drive, and at the time was only on Newmar, he said, I've got to have this. So every time he would research something, it's, it costs us more money. I've got to have this. That was why we went the Newmar road. The big idea.
And then I'd read some more and I go, oh, gotta have a tag
axle. Cha-ching,
You know?
there it goes.
You know,
for sure.
But once again, on IRV2.com, everybody said you want a solid ride and not feel the wind and not be buffeted and not be pushed when semi goes by.
pass, yeah.
You gotta have an extra set of wheels planted on the ground. Guess what? They were right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm solid as a rock.
Correct.
Yeah.
Comfort drive. Every single that you heard about it, and then some, is correct.
And so this is great comparison. We have a 22-year-old Monaco Diplomat.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the trucks that went by, but the little Jetta that went by made the RVs rock.
Yeah.
It was like being on a rocky boat going to the refrigerator. So
Yeah.
again, these are things to think about as you go down the road. But comfort drive, talk a little bit about you do all the driving, right?
He
Yeah.
does.
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
But so talk.
I'm not going to let you off the hook. I got to say one other thing. You see
Uh-oh.
that couch there?
So he's
That-
pointing to the
Yeah.
couch on the passenger side.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Patty talked about the cockpit we're in. This is called the salon or the dining room. And normally, in most rigs, traditionally, the first two things you're going to see is you're going to see a couch on the left-hand side and a couch on the right-hand side. And because this is actually an upgrade to have on the driver's side, and I'm here to tell you that we thought that was a great idea and we loved them and they have a bed built in and the grandkids can come. Guess what? After 1 year, nobody visited us. And after a year, you discover you don't want anybody visiting you because you have to know how to use the restroom facilities correctly so you don't have an issue.
Put the wrong things in
And the
there.
real corker is that both of these couches ended up being depositories for junk.
Jackets,
Everything that we
furs,
would walk in and
gloves.
out of. And we couldn't wait to get rid of them. So we have recliners now on the driver's side, and I have this massive custom-made U-desk to work as a YouTuber on a desk that is the same size as this couch that you're looking at, which is 84 inches, and it was made in Napanee by the company that does a lot of the design work.
This is what happens when you're doing a YouTube video and podcast
Yeah.
in a real rig.
Yeah.
People want to come in.
Yeah. I don't blame them.
The wait.
Yeah. So what was the question before that?
We
Oh,
were
driving.
driving the comfort.
I'm here to tell you that we have plenty of times on our channel where if all of a sudden it's obvious that it's windy, I'll tell Sue, grab the camera. And she'll grab the camera and I'll say, show how windy it is outside. So,
Sand blowing across,
Yeah.
going through Arizona.
yeah, tumbleweeds going, and she'll see how windy it is. And then I'll say, folks, look at how much hunting that I don't have on my steering
steering
wheel.
wheel,
And
yeah.
hunting is when you're constantly doing micro corrections.
Moving,
Oh,
yeah.
a little bit more to the right. Oh, a little bit more to the left.
Yeah.
Oh, and that doesn't look like a lot, but what happens is it so screws up your nerves and your muscles in your arms and
It's
your
fatiguing,
upper.
yes.
You are exhausted after driving.
Right.
I am not a physical specimen. I know I sound like it.
People
I
can go
am-
to the YouTube
Yeah.
and on the podcast to
I'm
see what
here-
you think.
I'm here to tell
Comments are
you.
welcome.
I'm here to tell you that I can drive. I don't recommend it. We don't drive this long normally. Unfortunately, tomorrow we will. But I can drive 6 hours, and anything that is hurting me or bothering me after doing it, none of it's because of steering
Right.
effort and having to be diligent.
Right.
I literally can relax when I'm driving, literally by dialing the 1 through 6 on the comfort
Right.
drive.
So the comfort drive, I'm just going to explain, has levels, so 1 through 6. So there's areas, I guess, you want to be able to have more control, so to speak, and then areas where it could be a little looser.
Why don't you ask me what my number is?
But
His sweet spot.
what's your sweet spot number?
4.75.
Wow, I did
It
go
goes to
to
one to
justice
six.
like that. Okay, got it. And people will find their comfort
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
if it's so loose, so
Yeah.
great, and that is put on the coach by Freightliner. That's a Freightliner product.
Correct. Yeah, it's made by TRW. And for the longest time, it was an exclusive, and it's a very expensive decision that they made. It's in the order of magnitude of $10,000 or more on an OEM cost to throw that in, and then I don't know what it's marked up to, but it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And
It is a big
OEM,
deal.
again, for those of you who don't know, and I don't know what the letters stand, but I just know it means
Original
it's stuff.
equipment manufacturer.
Okay, original equipment manufacturing. There you go. It's put on beforehand. So now, what we're going to talk about is your comfort steering number. We're going to talk to Sue about driving. I'm going to put Sue on the spot, unfortunately. But before we do that, we are in a diesel pusher. So it is a diesel engine. The engine on these are in the back as opposed to gas in the front. We're not going to dive into that right now. If you're thinking gas or diesel, IRV2 is going to be a great resource for that. We could probably talk about that for an hour. What I want to talk about is people talk about diesel and how expensive. We use Open Roads fuel card. The Open Roads fuel card, you do too. It's free to sign up for the card. Free. No cost to sign up for the card. You get the card, you attach your bank account, and there's a list of diesel stations there all
There's a
over the
lot,
country,
yes,
a
yeah.
lot. And you save money every time you get diesel fuel. Now, did you this year get the notice that said this is how much money you saved last year? They're going to start doing that.
Yeah, he's the expert on that one.
So-
yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
I
the
mean-
data guy.
But Sue is not going to get off the hook.
Sue's
as
not
far
off
as-
the
I have a
hook.
Does
comment.
Sue drive?
I just-
It's- we're going to get to that next.
I want to say how truthful we and Patty are. That program is the real deal because we don't expect people to believe us just by me moving my lips. So what we've done since we've got the card, we literally, every time we buy fuel, we put it on a spreadsheet. And I update it every time. So we're up to the point where we bought fuel 70 times with this card.
Wow.
And I'm buying maybe 100 gallons at a crack. My tank's 150. I don't wait until I get that low.
You have a 150-gallon tank. Okay.
Correct.
Just want to be clear.
So over 70 fuel stops, our moving average is 44 cents off the pump price. So we don't care if we would save money going down the road to mom and pop and having some competitive card or some other thing. We want to stick with the big boys that literally are pumping 10,000 gallons an hour or some insane amount so that your fuel is fresh and ready to rock. So
And
That's
it's
great.
easy to get in, it's easy to get out.
Yes,
no
because they're
training
truck
damage,
stops. Yeah. Yes. And with RV Life Trip Wizard and the RV trekking, it'll tell you if you should go into that
Right.
particular stop. Okay, we'll get to that. But now, I'm gonna put Sue on the spot. You do not drive.
I do not drive. I did test drive one in Wisconsin. That was rare because most don't let you test drive. And I was comfortable with it. And I'm going around and doing good turns in a parking lot and then coming out back on the street. It was fine. I was comfortable. But I'm telling you, once we went full time and everything that's in our rig, that's everything we own. I'm like, everything I own is behind me. What if something happens? Mark is an engineer. If anybody knows an engineer, they're anal and they're
We could say that, right?
like they've got opinions.
Yes.
So he's got a way of driving. He's like constantly looking. He wants to be in control, and I'm like, fine, because if I were driving, he'd have to navigate. He sucks at navigating. So it works for us.
But here's the thing, and this is, again, messaging I'm putting out these days because, as people know, 3 months ago, depending on when you see this, Dan got ill. And I keep saying, thankfully, we were in a campground.
Yeah.
Now, we were in that campground where we had 2 weeks. So I had to go and say, being honest, I'd never really driven. Dan tried to, quote unquote, teach me.
Yeah.
And that lasted about 5 minutes that I had it with them.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? If something happens, I have somebody that'll fly anywhere we are,
Yeah.
come get us and rescue us. It's no big deal. It's a very big deal.
Yeah.
Because if he had gotten ill while we were on a highway somewhere and the next exit is go on the PA Turnpike where the next exit 33 miles,
Yeah.
now you can't even get to safety. So the whole point here is everybody knowing how to drive to get you to safety. And whether that's learning how to drive other than with Mark is probably the best way.
Yeah.
So since I've been here, I have had Casey Tubman teach me to drive. We started out with one of the smaller ones.
Has he got any
Not sure if
experience
white
with-
knuckling, yeah.
You got any experience with motorhome?
I don't know, but not necessarily. He doesn't usually do the test
Yeah.
drives.
Yeah.
Angie Morrell of National Indoor RV Centers took me out. We went out in a van.
Nice.
She was great, but there are RV schools.
Yep.
Highly recommend that
Yeah.
everybody knows how to drive.
Yeah.
And make sure that you keep that skill, and whether or not you drive with somebody else so that something happens,
Yes,
nobody
yes,
wants
you're
it
right.
to, nobody plans it.
Am I allowed to bring up a point that you didn't bring up yet?
Sure.
Okay, so today we've been SkyMed members since probably about January 2018.
Yeah.
And we had the membership for 5 years. And it's one of those memberships that when you pay for it, for the protection of being repatriated, relocated, air ambulance services, the whole thing that they offer, you want to pay for it so you don't have the peace of mind, but you don't want to use it. You don't ever want to get that
Right. You
part
don't
of the
wanna get
value.
your money out of
You
it,
don't
yeah.
want to have to
Right.
use it. You have it in the just in case.
So right when it started, was ready to lapse, we all of a sudden went on a cruise where we were going to go to Mexico
And Hawaii.
and Hawaii. And I'm thinking, wait a second, the old Chan Man's timing might be bad here for a catastrophe. So I upped for another 5 years. We stopped by your booth today and we talked to them again, and I learned a whole bunch of other things about it. And we talked a little bit about rig relocation and fly your family around and everything. This is not a sales pitch form now, but I'm saying we're
It's a
convinced
safety.
Yes.
we wanted the peace of mind. That's what we're talking about.
And certainly all about safety for me.
Yeah.
Not only that, they'll take the rig back home. So we
Right.
were in Florida. We wanted to go back to Pennsylvania where family is. That's where we are at this time. How do you get the rig back?
Yeah.
Now, again, that friend of mine that I said would fly anywhere, he would bring it back. He could drive it. Not everybody has that option.
Right.
You don't necessarily want to bother people with it.
But SkyMed would pay that guy
Yes.
to do it.
That's
Pay
right.
his room and
Yes.
board, pay the flight,
Pay
the
the
diesel
gas, the
fuel.
whole 9 yards. Yeah.
So
So all of these things taken care of. It's the same reason we have health insurance, right?
Right.
We have health insurance in case something happens.
Right.
Right.
You hope you never have to use it,
Yeah.
even though you pay it every month. Okay, I've beaten that topic. Then you have a YouTube channel, Our Journey in Miles. That's MYLES.
Yes.
Okay. So talk a little bit about the channel. What kinds of things do you like to share with people?
I'll go there because otherwise, yeah.
So-
When we started, we did not start out doing a YouTube channel. We started out. We retired. I'm a high school of the arts art teacher. I taught Mitch technology with a little videography. So I don't like playing with videos and putting it on Facebook. And after a while, Mark is telling people, "Oh, we were there. Be friends with me. You can look at our video." I'm like, "I don't need all these friends." So finally, he said, "Let's just do a YouTube channel." And then we can just tell people, go to our channel, look at it, and all of a sudden, oh, my cousin left a comment, and people are, it's like, who's that? I don't know. Who's that? I don't know. It grew, and we were so surprised. Basically, all we're doing is showing what it's like to be full-time as two retirees living on a budget in a nice Class A. We always say we are not campers. We never have made a campfire. We've been to others' campfires.
we love
I make
campfires.
We love them. We just don't make them.
Yeah.
But
Good idea.
yeah, we consider ourselves as tourists. We are touring the United States in our motorhome. And basically our videos are, if it's about like, this is where we are, this is what we did, that sort of thing, I'll do the editing on that stuff. I get into the artsy stuff. If it's repairs, upgrades, breakdowns, whatever, Mark does the editing because that's his
Right.
piece. He goes into detail. And a lot of our subscribers will say, we appreciate the honesty of our channel because we show not just good, we show the bad. We
Right.
show the breakdowns. They're like, what the heck? Now this is...
But we're not a drama
We're
channel.
Not trying to complain, but teaching something. Now, the one thing you said was you're retired, and you said you have a YouTube channel. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you have your desk set up to do
But
your...
you know that people will say, oh, that's a lot of work. We're two creative people. We need a creative outlet, and this is it. And I often said to Mark, if this feels like work, I'm done. I'm retired.
Exactly.
I think-
And that's exactly what I felt like. If I do the podcast or I do YouTube videos, which I'm now getting back to, the channel is Exploring Through Our Lens. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. I could
Yeah.
show up somewhere that everybody recommended and think,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I don't do it. I'm not
Yeah.
going to mention those places, but I just don't do it.
Yeah.
I
I just want to say one more
Okay.
thing about our channel. And one of the things that kind of pushed us up is when we got started, we wanted to see, get an idea what would it cost. Next Exit, Bob and Furl would put out a spreadsheet every month on what they spend. So he got the spreadsheet from Bob, and we're keeping track of things. And they live in a Class A also, but their lifestyle's a little bit
A
better.
big monocle, like about a
And it-
2006 or 8.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they traveled different. We were more touristy. They did camping and stuff like that. We started keeping track, and after keeping track, I would keep the track, and he would do all the spreadsheet stuff. We're looking at after a year, and we're like, oh my God, are you serious? This is what we're spending? It was shocking. It was embarrassing, to be honest. And we're like, we got to put it out there because it's real. I mean, we put
Exactly.
everything. We put
Yes.
down even the depreciation of the motorhome. We're losing money every minute.
Yeah.
We put the real numbers in.
Yeah, that
And-
could be a podcast, or because I know recently you just aired a podcast on how cheaply you can live if you're careful.
See, he's
Well,
actually listening.
I'm
to the
actually
podcast.
listening,
Thank you.
but guess
This
what?
was not pre-set up, not paid.
Yeah.
But guess what? We're careful, and we spend
But we-
$6,204 a month year
month.
around.
And that includes repairs. I'm
That
sure.
Yeah, I
includes
averaged
everything.
out new tires,
So-
averaged out for the
Yes.
year and all that.
Let's talk tires. I'd like to jump in and tires.
Mhm.
Jeff Bound, if you don't know him, you got to get to know him. He is a great guy. He was here, so if you haven't met him, you could still meet
I have a
him.
good story about that.
I hope it's a good story.
Yeah, no, we had our tires put on at National Indoor because we dovetailed that when we were doing repairs. And then as soon as the retro band came out, even though I had tire bands, from an engineering standpoint, it was literally leaps and bounds more robust, let's say, in my estimation. So I took out the tire-ons and I put the retro bands in. So I worked with National Indoor and at the time University Tire in their Atlanta store, and I've always got my tires there. A couple other times just at tire places. But I recently had a couple of subscribers now contact me, and it's specifically on the 365s, the big boys on the front. They're just, the availability is impossible to get. And they're telling me, oh, I'm thinking about this brand or this brand. What do you think? First of all, I'm no tire expert, but my answer to them is this particular brand other than Michelin that they were thinking about, I would trust, okay? But I said, why don't you call up motorhomeplayers.com? I said, because their business model is they'll just show up and put these things on, and they work with local people. And if a company like that doesn't have a stockpile of tires as big as your
Yes.
building next to you, and this person got back to me and said, oh my God, thank you for giving me them. He said, I called them, they had them, and within, it was like less than a week, they showed up at their campground
Yes,
and they
and-
put the tires on.
Yes, and he does have, he has 4,000 installers across the country.
Wow.
The link will be in the show notes to get to an installer. They will come to you, whether it's your driveway, your storage room, wherever it is. They'll show you what you're doing. They'll show you what they're doing. They'll
Yeah.
talk to you. They'll talk you through the tires that are right for you.
Yeah.
And again, the company starts with the owner, and he's just a great person. So I love
Yeah,
recommending
and
that.
I if I remember right, the Corker the pricing was really good.
Yes.
So
yes.
not only was it a good price, they actually had the tires.
Yes, so they
That's
do.
kind
They
of
have good
important.
prices, tires, locations across the country,
Yeah.
and that's the big thing with them. And you could get a discount code in the show notes, so people can get a discount on their tires. So I'd love to
I
be able to
didn't
offer
know
that.
that.
Yes, there you have it. We have so much that we've talked about, so much I want to talk about. We could only go so long with this, and it is super hot in here as my crew is melting. We are trying to keep ourselves together. Now, as you go across the country, toll passes, going through toll roads. I literally last year spent $250 in toll fines. Anybody that listens to the podcast on a regular basis has heard this story. I'm going to repeat it because being full-time, the toll by plate goes to my address, my mailing address. By the time I got it and dealt with it, part of it was totally my fault. They only give you 25 days to pay the actual toll.
Yeah.
Not you get fined.
Yeah.
By the time I called, they said, no, we sent it to the attorney.
Oh, wow.
You have to call them. They weren't hearing it. And literally,
Was that Texas or was that
it was
Washington?
Texas.
Yeah. I
And
happened to
one
Texas,
in
with
Texas
us.
and one in Washington.
Yeah.
Listen,
Beware.
innovative tolling. Open
Yeah.
roads, innovative tolling.
Yes.
All 48 states.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's $24 each for the toll pass.
Yeah.
You only need one of them. So you
Yes.
guys tow
Yeah.
a car.
Yeah.
You only need one. And if you get a fine, they've concierge service that handles it for you.
Yeah. We
Love
got
it.
that one
We're
too.
there.
You have that.
Yeah,
Great.
we got it, and it's great, and it works so
Yes.
far.
We started that in the beginning. I think even now it's through Open Roads.
It is, yes.
And we had the original one, and then now they've rolled that into a different company that administers it, so to speak.
It's open roads that
Yeah, yeah.
administer.
And the original one that we had was Open Roads too, because the money used to come, the account that you had set up still would service that
For the
toll.
diesel
But now it's separate. They're two
Okay,
standalone.
yes, yes. So good point. We are talking about open roads, fuel card, and the toll pass. You could go to openroads.com or myopenroads.com to see both of those.
Yeah.
They are
And it's
separate
innovative
and together,
solutions.
if that makes, yes, innovative solutions. But if you go to the open roads, you'll find it. All of it's linked in the show notes to make it easier for everybody because they are connected. Great conversation. I want to thank you guys so
you.
much. We could have probably
pleasure.
talked for 2 hours
This was
more
fun.
if we had air conditioning. So
Yeah.
my podcast listeners and our YouTube watchers, here's what we did for you. We turned the air conditioner
Yeah.
off because it was
Here.
making too much noise.
Yeah.
So we are melting. I just want you to know.
Unfortunately, it's video too, and it's
Yes.
not just audio. So
Yes,
you can see us
exactly.
well, too.
Of course, I'm just starting back the video, and I look like a melted hot mess. I do want to talk about. It is time for the feature campground brought to you by RV Life Campgrounds. Thousand Trails Moody Beach in Wells, Maine, has an amazing campground. I was planning on being there this summer, which would be a lot cooler there
yeah.
for sure.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's not going to happen this summer, but I can't wait to go. This is a Thousand Trails campground. It has 203 sites. Thousand Trails Moody Beach offers beautiful scenery, minutes from the beach, full hookups, pull-in sites, dog park, cottages to rent. You name it, they have it, and there's a spectacular ocean view. This campground has a solid 2.5 rating from RV Life Campgrounds, and you could get to them by going to campgrounds.rvlife.com. And they have 99 reviews, so the reviews on campgrounds.rvlife.com, I know you guys also use it. It's all real campground reviews. It's from RVers by RVers. They go to a campground, they go on, they say, here's how well the Wi-Fi works, what we really think of the campground. It is all real live stuff. And you could get there by going to campgrounds.rvlife.com and find everything you need to know about your RV parks, campgrounds, resorts, as well as city, state, and national parks, Corps of Engineers, properties, and more. So much on this site. I love it. I live by my RV Life Trip Wizard, my RV Life
Absolutely.
GPS, the campgrounds, the newsletters are amazing. And again, we could go on and on. So maybe this is part one of a part two with us. But I want to thank both of you,
thank you.
Sue and Mark of
you.
Our Journey in Miles, NYLES. You have all the social media, right? You have Instagram, Facebook.
No Facebook.
No Facebook, sorry.
Instagram. Maybe we'll get it going. Instagram
Come on.
and YouTube. Yeah.
Instagram
Yeah.
and YouTube.
Or as far as like with our budget and stuff like that, I just want to put this in. We have several videos out on it. That's what people are looking for usually. And if Mark has got a great spreadsheet on what we spent, he's got a blank one too where you can fill in what you
Wow.
think yours is so far. If you want that, just email us at ourjourneyinmiles@gmail.com.
Right. And
Great.
what we talked
He'll
about,
send you the
Spreadsheet, so we could start.
send you the standard thing that will introduce you to all of the learning links that we have.
that we use and love. Yeah.
And I think it's worth your time. Ourjourneyinmiles@gmail.com. I'll get
Great.
it right out to you.
That's awesome. You're listening to the RV Life podcast and watching Exploring Through Our Lens. I'm Patty Hunt saying have a great rest of today and an even better day tomorrow.